Hey there, this is PJ Capozzi. On Friday, I sent out a Thought Exchange survey to all of our parents in the district asking what additional information they needed to make an informed decision on April 6th. So, this video is intended to answer as many of those questions as came in. Before I start, I do want to note that the questions that are put forward and the way that Thought Exchange works is that people essentially rate whether they agree or disagree with the comment or question. We're all over the place, as I think we've been as a community. So some people feel that they've been very well informed, and other people feel that they have not been well informed. We have a week left. And so if you feel like you have not been well informed, I will gladly meet with you face to face. We can Zoom. I can answer any emails. My cell phone number I've given out a handful of times. So whatever it takes to get people the information they want, I am more than happy to do so. So please share that information with them. So I'll start with the questions and knock them out as quickly as possible. As I don't mean to say this flippantly, but most of them have been answered in detail in different formats, in writing, at town halls, etc. So there's always additional information. So if these quick answers don't satisfy what you were looking for, I will gladly go into greater detail. One of the questions that we were asked was, how much do we pay for the school resource officer? The school resource officer costs us about $75,000 per year. That is an intergovernmental agreement between ourselves and the Ogle County Sheriff's Department. Just as a couple quick things to note about the SRO. Number one is that obviously, as we know, we do not have local police departments. So our response time in case of an actual crisis would be variable. And so we feel a little bit safer, I believe, with a school resource officer in. The second thing is that, and this was something that we actually had a little bit of concern about, and it's national kind of news, and is whether or not having a police officer in the building is good for student uh, relationships and climate. And what we have found is resoundingly, it's been awesome. And I think we got really lucky with the SRO we had. And obviously, we strategically worked with the Sheriff's Department to pick um, Officer Ruggerberg. But I think that we're having a number of students having a really positive experience with a police officer for the first time in their lives in school. And I think that's a really good thing moving forward. Second question, do we pay for retirement? So the answer is yes. So we support the retirement of both our support staff and our certified staff. This is the common practice throughout many parts of the state, inclusive of ours. So does the money that comes in to the district help support the retirement of the individuals within the district? And that answer is yes. Again, that is kind of commonplace and that is the norm, but I just want to make sure that I gave every question its due time. The next question is, why didn't we cut after the November failure of the election before we went out in April? The answer is we did. We proactively reduced 3 positions at the last board meeting. Those positions were the ones that were added as a result of kind of preparing for doing school in a pandemic, but there were some reductions. The second aspect of that is that if the referendum is successful in April, then there's no need to reduce because it's going to come through. It's going to be kind of clean levy year to levy year. And just again, from the business perspective, it would be reducing employees that were in the midst of a teacher shortage in the state that we might not get back, that we may not have to reduce as a result of if the referendum is successful on April 6th. So that was strategic on our part, and that's why you didn't see kind of mass reductions across the board at this time. Another question, which is interesting, and I feel like I can't really speak in great detail to it because, again, my job is to distribute kind of factual information, was what is the economic benefit of this just to a typical homeowner? And so I can't tell you scientifically what this would do to our home values. What I can say is that in my experience, a strong school system supports home values increasing. And I think for the predominant cross section of our community, the number one asset, if you are a homeowner, that you have is your home. And so anything that we can do to increase that value is a net benefit to the homeowner. And obviously a net benefit to the district as well, since taxation is a function of property value. So I can't really get into too much detail because if I do, I think it definitely sounds like I'm advocating instead of just providing factual information. But I can just say that I think there's lots of case studies locally, statewide, and nationally that we can see when a school system starts to struggle, what happens to property values. Now, as I've said before, if the referendum doesn't pass, it's my job to make sure the school system doesn't struggle, as difficult or as complicated as that may be. But I think that those are discussions that are best left for community members among community members and the referendum committee with community members if that question is out there. What did the district do to financially prepare between 2013 and 2020, and why are we back out for a referendum? So, as I've said many times, what the district did is we looked at our operating fund balance. That's kind of the gold standard of how you can term a district's health. 25% is really kind of the emergency button. If you go below 25% of your operating budget in reserves, that's when you potentially get into tax anticipation warrants, which means you have to take a loan just to make payday. We were at 26% when the last referendum passed. So the goal of the board has always been pretty consistent to stay about that 50 or 60th percentile. So when we received referendum funds, before we added back a significant number of positions, before we added other positions to pursue the goals that we have, we got to that 50 to 60% of operating reserve. And once we've got there, then we've kind of pursued trying to do a balanced budget. So if you look at our budgets, the first couple of years after the referendum, we didn't add things back and we had a surplus budget to build up those reserves to be financially and fiscally responsible. And then once we got there, that's when we started to do a balanced budget. So another way of saying that is we are not doing everything we want to do. I have lots of ideas that we could do to pursue different goals and to go further faster. But what we are doing is trying to maintain that fiscal responsibility and make sure that we are staying balanced so that we didn't spend down those things. That's what the district did to financially prepare and go forward. Now, again, we are in a position as a result of having that we are not in absolute crisis mode the minute this referendum were to fail, if that's what happens. But we are in eventual, right? Like we'd have to make that balance out. So it's not going to be immediately catastrophic. It will be catastrophic in 3-4 years. So we'll try to weather that storm the best that we can as we come toward it. Hopefully, that's the one case scenario. The other case scenario is that we don't have to go through those significant reductions. And the last thing, which is kind of common, is why doesn't this have a sunset clause? Why aren't we looking at sunsetting this after a handful of years? Number one is that sunsets on education fund referenda are so rare that we couldn't find case law on how to write this referendum ballot language that you will see in just a week. And so it's definitely the anomaly. And what I typically hear is, well, it gives us the sense of accountability as a community. And so I'm not going to debate that if that's what you feel happens with the sense of accountability. My counterpoint to that is I can literally, as superintendent, spend $0. Every expenditure I have is approved by the board. And it's public, right? Like it's on the ledger every month for anyone that wants to review to see what's going on. So the accountability that extends beyond just a sunset term on a referendum is with the election of board officers. And so if you don't like the way the district is spending money, there's a natural accountability mechanism that works that way. Secondarily, and I've heard this direct feedback from both community members and staff members, if we have to go through this type of stress and strife every 7 years, why would I choose to work here? That's what I hear from staff members. Why would I go somewhere else where I know that my job isn't potentially going to get cut, or 20 jobs aren't going to get cut every 6 to 7 years? And then from community members that have moved in and, when they moved in and I welcome them in registration, tell me they moved in because the school district is sound and strong and they want to be part of it. Well, this isn't really what they bargained for either, that the school system that they moved in for could be completely different in 7 years. And so that's another secondary argument as to why the sunset might not be the healthiest way for us to move forward and have a sustainable, successful district. So with all of that said, I hope I answered all of these questions. Thank you for those that participated in the Thought Exchange. And please, again, whether you are a yes voter or a no voter, please get to the polls next Tuesday. Thank you very much and make it a great day.